All right, let's go back to Clifford Carnicom. Clifford, we don't have a lot of time left. It's going by so fast, and I appreciate you joining us. Not only is there the HARP effects of weapons or manipulation or conductivity of so many different things, anti-personnel on multiple levels, but it seems to be associated with weather modification. When big storms are coming in, for sure, you see these jets coming in even lower. I mean, I've seen trails getting laid down at 10, 15, 5,000 feet, which I never saw before in the past, in front of the storms, knocking them out, stopping them. A lot of researchers have pointed that out. So can you comment on some of the other aspects of this?
I'd say that's absolutely true, what you're saying there. Did you want me to elaborate on that part or go on to the other areas?
Any area you think is important, elaborate.
First would be to corroborate and confirm what it is you're saying there. There clearly is a very definite association with weather fronts in terms of these operations. Moisture is absolutely being altered, moisture patterns. The claim that these are benevolent operations has just never worked from the data side. If I could see that in the data, I would raise that scenario, but it doesn't fit. Everything here shows a covert operation, which has a malevolent effect on both the planet as well as those who live upon it. Moisture is being altered. Storm systems are being affected and manipulated. And, it's a real curious thing, but if you actually look into the explanations, they don't make any sense at all in terms of what's offered here. They'll say that these things are being conducted during times of high humidity. I've looked at the humidity here, and I've looked at it up high with all the balloons. I've looked at it all the way up to 50,000, even 100,000, whatever those balloons go up, 65,000 feet. We do not have high humidity up there, and the lies that are being put forth about supposedly this is happening in a high humidity environment, it doesn't hold water at all. And as a matter of fact, talking about association with storms, I did quite a bit of work to actually try and determine what is the pattern? When are these planes coming in? And something happened that I didn't even expect, actually.
Well, stay right there. We've got a break. Tell us about that when we get back, because this is important. And then we'll talk about Ben Livingston's research, the father of modern weather weapons. Oh, yeah, he's got some comments. Clifford Carnicom, Ben Livingston flew into hurricanes. He flew into the even bigger storms they have in the Pacific, the typhoons. He, Stanford Research Facility, certified his work for the Navy. He was the head of their big weapons research facility that they were able to kill and knock down hurricanes in the late 60s. But then our government says, oh, they know nothing about it, and there's nothing they can do about hurricanes. So we know they're being secretive. If they can knock down hurricanes, we also know that they can empower and increase the power of hurricanes. Livingston over Vietnam, with just a few planes, would take tiny clouds and cause 10 feet of rain to fall, and flooding people on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So we know they can manipulate the weather even with seeding technologies. You add into this other technologies, it's powerful. What do they appear to be doing with these chemical sprays with the weather? What does their goal appear to be?
Well, I think from a military perspective, certainly if one has the ability to control or manipulate the weather, that's a huge military advantage.
And you said that you were shocked. You said that you were shocked, though, when you did some observations of when the planes came in. Tell us about that.
Well, I think this would come to a surprise to many people. But if you actually look at the data, if you find a paper I wrote called Ions and Humidity, the big surprise to me here is that the timing of these operations actually appears to occur most likely when the humidity is at, and I have to use the word, a local minimum. What this means is low relative to before and after. It doesn't mean in absolute sense low. It means relative to what's happening before and to what's to transpire afterwards. If you find these points, what you call a local minimum of humidity, this appears to be the most likely time that these operations are coming in. That actually makes sense if you look at what's going on and with what you're talking about. That is the most advantageous time to come in, is right before the storm, not during the storm, but right before it comes in. And I'm talking, my work will show periods of several hours, so basically a window of 2 to 3 hours. And you can see that it is timed to get in there right at this absolute maximum advantage point of getting these particles in before the moisture comes in. And I believe that would be so you would have maximum absorption, basically.
In your 6-7 years studying this, is it getting more frequent? Are the operations intensifying globally, nationally?
I would say where the operation it's full in effect. This thing is in effect. The change has been made. And whether you want to call it a maintenance or a status quo, it would appear to me that we have a certain concentration level that needs to be maintained at this point. Certainly, there also appears to be something seasonal that goes on.
The BBC, and I know you saw it, had a big photograph from space of England completely covered with what it called condensation trails, and then in the article it went on to say that NASA says the Earth is 20% darker, and then just put that there, didn't make any connection to condensation trails, just had that in the space photograph.
Absolutely, and one of the tests that I did was that straightforward. I bought what's called a photometer, a calibrated photometer, and it's a simple, straightforward test. But you had a perfectly blue, clear sky. They came in with and you have a certain light level. The planes came in in an hour to 2 hours, had completely transformed the sky. I conducted these tests, and there was a 20 per reduction. I mean, it's a straight physical thing. You are affecting the energy and light that's affecting the Earth.
But you did see the NASA report that the Earth is now 20% darker than it was 30 years ago.
That's right, I have. That's right. And look at the photograph that NASA touts there as being what they call clutter. They call it contrail clutter. It's absolutely hilarious to think that these things would be foisted.
Yeah, they show the U.S. and it's a spider web, and they didn't do that until 6-7 years ago. Something has changed. Stay with us. Call's coming up.